What is up, everybody? It is 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time here in Los Angeles, Wednesday, January 18th, 2023 AD, and it is freezing. 41 degrees, I thought I saw on my phone. Barely even want to go outside. But when the sun is out, it is nice. I can even go out in my t-shirt when the sun is out. Well, it's like 58 by that point. But we're going to have a fun, hopefully anyway, loosey-goosey Wednesday show. Yesterday I had Joel Friday on the Hake Report co-hosting with me. 2 weeks in a row I had him. But every other Tuesday tends to be on. Big bump with me on MLK Day. What a mess. And speaking of MLK Day, going to talk about a shooting. Turned out to be a fatality. A mass shooting by blacks, I think. I'm assuming. I'm profiling. But they're not the only violent ones. There's this Mexican guy or Hispanic guy, Latino guy, called Peña. Solomon Peña, I guess, is his name. And he's a radical Republican, a MAGA terrorist. Terrible. He was shooting in houses with some fellow gang members or whatever they are. And he ran for office. So I'll cover that story. I have a long 5-minute clip to share with you guys about it. A report from the Based News Nation with Dan Abrams. There's an attack on Boise, Idaho. Beautiful Boise, Idaho. Idaho is fairly white. A lot of whites are moving there. A lot of sensible people are moving there. And a lot of senseless people, too, have gone over there. And I shall show you one such senseless lady. In my opinion, she's senseless. You guys may differ. Named Tori, whom I saw on a TikTok video saying that, oh, whites hate me because they think it's great to be white somehow. What the heck? Doesn't make any sense. NorCal's is planning or thinking about reparations for the blacks. Transgender mess in the Minnesota House of Representatives. Some expert lady talking mess. And your calls, if you would like to call in. I'm going to talk about you guys. Reading some of your comments and stuff. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. La la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I'm wearing one of my favorite t-shirts. I bought it thinking it was 100% cotton because it's a solid color, orange. It's a nice color too. I like this color. And it has a fox or wolf or what's that other type of dog? Coyote or something on it. Somebody tell me what this is. I got it in Joshua Tree. I'm assuming that the video feed is working on the... It turned out this thing has polyester in it. What a shame. I'm like, it smells like it has polyester. And sure enough, I checked the tag. I didn't even check the tag when I bought it. Sure enough, it did have polyester. Let me double check the audio. Nice. I like to make sure Odyssey is working. I'm streaming on Odyssey, D Live, Rumble. I am streaming on Rumble, and I do accept super chats on Rumble. I think you can super chat Hake on Rumble as well as JLP when we're live. Nice. You can't super chat on YouTube for us at this point. You can also super chat on Streamlabs. Shout out to the people super chatting on Streamlabs. Even the people giving $1, out of which I only get 48 cents. And of course, Odyssey. You can super chat on Odyssey. So, hope you had a happy Lee Jackson Day. Maybe many of you didn't know it, but I was wearing a beautiful rebel flag t-shirt on Monday, which happens to have been, I believe, Lee Jackson Day, the 15th and 16th of January, Sunday, Monday. But the gall, it was appalling that they put MLK Day on Lee Jackson Day. I have to get my spittoon for that. People think I was disrespecting MLK Day, and I was. But I inadvertently was also celebrating Lee Jackson Day, and I didn't realize it when I had planned to wear the t-shirt, but it was Lee Jackson Day. That's General Robert E. Lee to you, and General Stonewall Jackson, I believe. I don't know history, but to the MLK people and the people who think that MLK comes first before the beautiful South and the Confederate American heroes. The more I learn about MLK, the more I think, man, what a zero. Anyway, let's dive right into this, guys. You guys need a talking to. It's like you guys didn't hear Joel Friday yesterday. He's like, guys, have proof. It's not that I'm saying you're wrong, but he's talking about the people who believe that the vax is causing all these things. And I, of course, disavow that, whether it's true or not, because, of course, it's not true. I protect my channel above the truth. And it's true, I do. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, even though nobody watches on Twitter. And I don't blame them. I'm the only one who watches me on Twitter. But I saw this. Okay, let me read this comment from one of my friends, one of my faithful commenters, Steve Sly, 7954. You guys like how YouTube is putting tags, and now I don't recognize anybody's name because it's using these tags which are messing up your names, you people on YouTube. You used to have names that I could recognize, and now all of a sudden we're using tags with a @ sign and your username, and I don't recognize it. But I do recognize Steve Sly. He says, let's see. Talking about the flat Earth stuff, which is another thing. It's another useless argument. Be truthful, says Steve Sly. Let's say you found out it was flat, meaning the Earth. And I said that it's relatively flat. For our purposes, it's flat. You use a level, and it's basically parallel to the Earth. For our purposes, it is flat. But in reality, it is a ball. A huge ball. That's why you can't detect. Be truthful. Let's say you found out it was flat. There is no let's say. That's an if, man. Would you be allowed to say it on Jesse's show? I highly, highly doubt it, says Steve Sly. Steve Sly, come on, man. What do you mean you highly, highly doubt it? And second of all, you misspelled Jesse's name. Jesse. There's no I in Jesse. Jesse lets people say what they think. He's in church asking, do you believe the Earth is flat? And on the radio show, do you believe the Earth is flat? There is one thing that I've noticed about the flat earthers is that it says something about you guys. It's not too different from the rest of us. It says that you believe stuff without proof, without evidence, without logic. And that's like a warning about you to me. And we love the flat earthers. The flat earthers are probably half my audience. But it means that you'll believe stuff without evidence. It means some of you guys have fallen into like gossip and believing stuff that people say, or believing something, jumping to conclusions. based on something, misreadings, some evidence or other, about other things too. What other things do you believe that are not true? You know? Or that don't have any basis to believe them? There was a commenter in my show yesterday who said, because Joel was questioning the people who were asserting, for sure, such and such died because of the vax. He's all, you don't know. And this guy commented, these two guys are vaccinated. And that's not even true. First of all, I don't disclose whether I'm vaccinated or not. So-called vaccinated from the so-called China virus, right? But Joel said that he's not. So this guy is, not only is he believing definitely about the vax, which we don't know, he's also believing that Joel, jumping to conclusions and assuming that Joel is vaxxed and that Hake is when he doesn't know. And then he said something like, what did he say? Let me see if I can find it. Somebody said, Hake, why are you assuming that the NASA is not lying to you? I don't assume that NASA doesn't lie to me. I don't assume anything about NASA. It's just, maybe I do believe that the Earth is a ball because I was told, but I also look at it. It only makes sense. It's only logical to believe that. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Wow, a lot of comments on yesterday's show. Excellent show, says Steve. Of course, Jesse would let me say if it's flat. Anyway, whatever. But I wouldn't find out. You don't find out that the Earth is flat. You start thinking. Let's see. Joel, go find other conservatives to listen to. If they can't back up what they're saying, they stick. The Earth is flat, Hake. I love Asmodor, and I'm a paid subscriber to his Odyssey channel, but his borderline boomer is showing on his flat Earth and moon hoax takes. You either believe in the Bible or you don't. What do you mean believe in the Bible? And believing in a 66,000 mile per hour, oh look, more sixes, spinning water ball is anti-biblical. No, it's not, buddy. I take the Bible as it is, all of it, including its cosmology. Bible doesn't really have that, man. What the heck? You guys got issues. Okay, somebody said something. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe it got deleted, or maybe I just can't. Maybe it's censored. I wonder if he do. Oh, LOL, these two got the vax. Oh, okay. King Garethos 888. Must be Asian because he has 888 in the name. He said, LOL, these two got the vax. I said, amazingly wrong, because Joel didn't trust it, and Hake doesn't disclose. Check out the study of Taiwan, 17.1% cardiac side effects in 12 to 18-year-olds. Meaning 12 to 18-year-olds who got the vax, 17.1% got side effects in related to their heart. Is that what the study says? I'm wondering. Thank you. I don't know if you're giving me accurate information or precise information. Neither of these two do any research on this topic, but espouse the right are lying to them. But that's not true. Well, yes, we don't do any research on it. I haven't done any research on this vax thing. I've seen two people whom I find fairly reliable sources, quite reliable sources. Real Vincent James and Asmodor both have expressed suspicions. And I, too, have suspicions about this thing. But Joel said, I didn't say you're wrong. I said show proof. And I explained that it's hard to show proof. But we never said that the right are lying to us. So that's a third thing that you got wrong, King, or at least second thing that you got wrong, King Garethos 888. Crazy. Somebody was asking the day before, or the same day, are they like, are they forced? I forget what it is. Somebody said, I've been listening for 2 years, and are you guys banned from saying the truth about the vax? It's like, we're not convinced as easily as you guys are. I guess that's what it is. Anyway, there's no really talking sense into people. It's like talking to women. They're going to believe what they believe, which is usually wrong, and they're not going to hear you they're not going to hear you properly, and they're going to misinterpret everything you say and do. It's something that I've noticed. Speaking of women, there is a women's forum tomorrow night, ladies. Those of you listening within driving distance or flying distance of LA, within a day and a half, a little less than a day and a half, come to the women's forum. They are excellent. I'm assuming because the men's forums are always excellent. Terrible. Steve Sly was saying all kinds of funny stuff. He was on a kick. If you found out it was flat, would you be allowed to say it on Jesse's show? I highly, highly doubt it. What do you mean allowed to say it? Doesn't make sense, man. What about JLP gives you the notion that he would censor Hake? Unless Hake was saying something that wasn't true or whatever. But if I'm just giving my opinion. Anyway, he said, Hake, hey, so Hank, you never want to see heaven? You just want to keep living on this failing world? I used to be that way, to want to live forever, but then I thought about it. I'll never see heaven then if God allows me in. It's a big if, man. It's a big if. I said I never want to die. That would be God's doing if I never died, though. That would be God's doing. And as Jesus said, as Jesse says, you can have heaven within, even in the evil world. So you're not bothered by the failing world. You seem like you're bothered by the failing world. Why? Just one more thing, asks Stephen Sly. Why does God call the moon the lesser light, the one to rule and then one to rule the day, the one light to rule the night? One light to rule the day, that's the sun. One light to rule the night, that's the moon. Because the sun is brighter and the moon is dimmer. That's why. Maybe there's more depth to it. I don't know. But what does that prove? I don't know. Stick with what you know. Flat Earth is a psyop to discredit conservatives, says Coder By. Ever heard a lib talk about Flat Earth? Yeah, blacks. Sometimes blacks. I feel like I've heard blacks talk about it. They definitely do the moon landing thing. And then apologize for it later. You know, those athletes. I don't know why they have to apologize for it. That only feeds people's suspicion. Jesse Lee has never said you must 100% agree with him to be in the family, in the so-called family. Well, he doesn't call it a family. We're not hive-minded leftists. Anyway, shout out to the Flat Earthers. We'll talk more mess about you next time I do a beach stream, if I do a beach stream. I don't know, did I sufficiently cover this? Stick with what you know. But I guess people are not disciplined enough to realize they don't know stuff that they think that they know. Let me get to Art in Ohio on the line. Asks, why you censor yourself? Art, how are you doing, man?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Doing fine.
Man, you had me going a second ago. You said something about you got to protect your show or whatnot, about the V virus stuff or whatnot, and something about that.
Yeah.
To get banned.
Right.
Okay. Well, was saying or whatnot, or even not even saying it, I experienced it when I was in elementary, middle school, and then, a little bit in high school, not as much in high school. In
Yeah.
middle school, I would realize when I would be getting into an argument with somebody and be about to fight, that I still got the 3-day suspension. Then if you still get into the fight, you still get a 3-day suspension. So it don't matter whether you fighting or arguing, you're going to still get the 3-day suspension. So why would I take a 3-day suspension for just running my tongue instead of just going ahead and fighting and going ahead and getting the same amount of time out of the thing? So
Only
told you-
only to do what's right, though, because it wouldn't be right to get into a fight necessarily.
of course, that's only common alpha logical sense of whatnot. Of course, we ain't going out. Well, I don't know. I don't remember too much of whatnot. I might have been a little bit, little childish back in my middle and elementary school days. Coming up in a single parent home or whatnot, to where things that I wouldn't do now, I was doing at age because I was a young bull or whatnot, maybe a young buck. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
So I told you a while ago, I said, hey, your show is doing way more numbers than what you supposed to be, with it showing up on your thing or whatnot. It's just they're banning you and they're basically shadowing you out or whatnot. But probably I speculate that they're taking your numbers down or whatnot.
You think
More
so?
people that's probably. I don't think so. I know so. It's only common sense, man. And something else I was going to tell you, too. You already been banned before how you feel about the Trump stuff.
Right.
Before all this vaccine stuff, you were banned because we attract. You see what I'm saying? Just like how like listening to you and always was not falling. Just we always had that same type. Our type of minds. We waking people up, and of course they're gonna ban because they don't want people to wake. They want their moral compass to be still thrown off. They want their life to be dim in their brain or whatnot, to where they don't know right from wrong. That's why you see a lot of these channels is got a whole bunch of nonsense about people fighting and doing a whole bunch of stupid stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing or whatnot. That's why you see them with 1 million views or whatnot. That's the first thing. And I would speculate by time that I ain't gonna speculate. I'm gonna tell you for a fact because I noticed this in my life. By the time that your show do end up trying to pick up and take off and gain numbers, they gonna try to do something to sabotage you physically. They're gonna try to physically try to harm you because they once they realize they can't bring you down and you went from 1,000, 1,500 viewers. By the time you get up to about 200,000 viewers in a week or 3 days, that's when they're gonna try to come at you, either offer you to try to get on their team, or if they can't get you to get on their team, they're gonna try to physically harm you or whatnot. That's another prediction. I've experienced that personally or whatnot. Then the second thing is, and this is something I'm just spewing stuff out so you can, sit and think on it later or whatnot. Second thing is going even to Usain Bolt, the dude who this runner that participated in the Olympics or whatnot.
Uh-huh.
He said that he lost a whole bunch of his money or whatnot, I think in the Bitcoin or something like that. And just like we were saying or predicting a while ago, saying through history or whatnot, the same thing that happened with Hitler. All the people who were trying to push that communist stuff over there to help Hitler get in office or whatnot, them the same ones that they came and took out before they took anybody else out. And that's a prime example of Usain Bolt. You got a whole bunch of these liberals like Shaq, Steph Curry, and a whole bunch of these other athletes or whatnot. Y'all pushing this communist stuff, but guess what? Your bank account, your pockets is going to be the first ones getting hurt, and you're going to end up physically being the first one getting hurt when everything comes down to the end of the wire or whatnot. Yep, and I can't think of nothing else too much to say, but I just want to put that on your brain and put that on that good chat's brain or whatnot, and I'll catch you later, all right?
You know what? You mentioned that my numbers are higher than they're letting on. I don't know if that's true, man.
Well, I mean, you might. Well, you might. I mean, my thing is this: they're not going. Some of these other channels, and I'll give you a prime example. I get right on my YouTube, and I never click on this one person's video or whatnot, but they stay keeping this thing in the algorithm. Every time it pops, it just be right there in front of them. Like, why they keep showing me? I keep pushing not interested. I never click on it, but it's always in the algorithm. So they're putting certain people up in front of other people when they know that we don't I'm not looking at that stuff. They just they're trying to force it, and we already know that's what they're doing in society. What do you think they're doing with the gay agenda? Trying to push it on everybody, keep trying to forcibly push it on. And it's the same thing they're doing with the algorithm. It only takes, I mean, just like Joel was saying, I need more proof. Okay, we're going 100 and something miles per hour. I mean, what else do you want me to do? Look at the speedometer, sir. That's your proof. The speedometer says 100. What other proof did you? The trees is passing you fast as we driving down the highway. I mean, is that proof? I mean, what other more proof do you need? I mean, but yeah, you definitely being banned. You might not see it, you might not know it, but they know, and they know that I know, and it's people in your chat that know that what I'm saying is the truth too. But God bless you, and I'll get with you later. I ain't gonna hold up too much time. Sit back at the top of the stage and sit and listen to what you're saying.
Okay, appreciate it, Art. Thanks, man. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Bye. All right. He asked me. Art asked me at the very beginning of his call about me censoring myself. Well, just not going into it, really. Or saying, oh, of course I stand with the notion that the vax is not hurting anybody, except for in rare cases. And I stand with the fact that the election was just as they said, partly because that stuff doesn't matter. You guys can look into it for yourselves. We can all look into it for ourselves. So I pick my battles on what I feel is worth getting censored over, I guess. If that makes sense. Whatever. It's not that important to me. Somebody says, Cameron Bridges says, hey, you need to work out. That'll help your beta back. If you guys are watching the video, I'm like standing up, trying to stretch, feeling funny. Hassan's like, I have music ready if you need a break. I think I can tough it out. I have another half hour to go before I need a break, I think. I was started to do some exercise and trying to stretch too. And maybe I'm exercising too much too early. Terrible. I'm like remedial. You know how blacks, some, very few, very rarely, occasionally, all races are, but I already said blacks, so I already spoiled it. Like their reading level is remedial. Their academic intellect is remedial. Remedial learning, like the R word, as in slow, intellectually. That's how I am physically right now. Once you get out of the habit for a long time and then you try to get back into it, but I'm tough. No, I don't need to go number 2, wrinkle hands bing bong. Sorry, kids, adults, ladies. I don't have to do that. It's just a core strengthening. Yeah, I know. What a mess. Before I get back to calls, I'm going to get back to calls. Let me at least cover this story. I split my infinitive. I don't know if I did. Republican thug terrorist. What is up with these Republicans? Here's a quote shared by Commie Nonsense Network. This type of radicalism is a threat to our nation. This is in New Mexico, Albuquerque specifically. What is up with Albuquerque and New Mexico? It's chock full of not normal whites. And when I say not normal whites, I don't mean those lovely Jewish people whom I love, definitely. I don't know about you guys. If I love anybody. Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller. Okay, so that guy's not Hispanic. But so many of these people, these players, these characters in this story are Hispanic, I noticed. Like both the Republicans and the demon rats. Evil versus evil. Mayor Tim Keller, Albuquerque. After a former Republican candidate, more like candidate, for New Mexico's legislature, state legislature, I guess, was arrested in connection with shootings at the homes of Democrat leaders. It's all from Commie Nonsense Network, my only reliable source. Oh, my primary source, that is, not my only reliable source. I also have TKR Official Telegram, Real Vincent James, and The Skim, the ladies at The Skim. Not in that order. Solomon Peña. Looks like Pena, but it's with the Enye thing over, the squiggly line thing. Makes it Peña. Solomon. Not very wise, Solomon. Not like the King Solomon. Although King Solomon did some unwise things too. He got with the ladies and followed their gods. Solomon Peña lost in 2022, a 2022 run for State House District 14. He's accused of paying and conspiring with 4 men, so-called men, males, grown adult males, to shoot at the homes, like with guns. Not just super soakers. We may talk about super soakers. Of 2 state legislators and 2 county commissioners. And this Peña guy is accused of trying to participate in at least one of the shootings. He pulled the trigger, but it jammed. Lucky for him, probably. One of the shootings himself, according to police. He was arrested by a police SWAT team. Was this SWAT team justified, I guess? Maybe. On Monday. And I have this long clip. I don't know if we'll be able to pause in the middle of it. But Nick is going to try to come in and set this up so that we can pause in the middle of it. Because it's 5 minutes, over 5 minutes long. Tim Keller is... not to be confused with the Christian guy, I guess. Mayor Tim Keller. There's a Christian guy called Tim Keller, and then there's, who's like 72, and then there's this 45-year-old Timothy M. Keller, businessman and politician, serving as the 30th mayor of Albuquerque, a Democrat. He was a state auditor before resigning to become mayor in 2017. Oh, this guy. He looks similar to that supposedly white male mayor of Portland, Oregon, I think, or Seattle, Washington. Catholic. Pooh! We love you, Catholics, but I spit at the Catholic Democrats. No, I spit in the spittoon. I don't spit at anybody. You don't spit at people. That's assault. Okay? Just FYI. I spit at the thought. I spit in the spittoon at the thought of Democrats. I mean, Democrat Catholics. Anyway, that's all I know about him. It doesn't say much about him. Okay, so are we ready to play this clip? I think that we will. I think we'll be able to pause it, and hopefully I'll have the sense to, like, know, pause! Hake doesn't know how to do anything. I have to have a board operator do everything for me. I'm not very technical. What good am I? So here's this clip. This is from News Nation. It's a report from Dan Abrams, who's, I think, a conservative guy. News Nation, they based Chris Cuomo off of CNN. Wow, so they're like an up-and-coming group. And Vittert, that Vittert guy, Leland Vittert, interviewed JLP on News Nation a year or so ago. Leland Vittert, he used to be with Fox News. Faux News. No, News Nation is not that based. They're just like mainstream media, but they're smaller. Up and coming, though. I wish them well, of course. So the police reported that failed GOP candidate pulled the trigger during a drive-by shooting. So here's a little report on this. It's actually a long report. Watch and listen, if you can.
Peña was taken into custody yesterday afternoon following a standoff with a SWAT team. Albuquerque police say he conspired with and paid cash to 4 other men to shoot up the homes of 4 Democrats. The shootings took place between December the 4th and January 3rd. One of the lawmakers, State Senator Linda Lopez, says 3 of the bullets passed through her 10-year-old daughter's bedroom, just over the bed where she slept. Investigators write in the newly released arrest warrant that Peña went along for one drive-by at Lopez's home and even pulled the trigger of an AR he was armed with, but that it jammed. The other assailant's gun did not. Quote, witness stated that Solomon further expressed discontent that the shootings were late at night. Solomon wanted the shootings to be more aggressive. Solomon wanted them to aim lower and shoot around 8 p.m. because occupants would more likely not be laying down.
Horrifying.
Several of the lawmakers, including Commissioner Adrian Barboa, say Peña actually visited them at their homes to complain about the results of the election just days or weeks before the shootings.
Yeah, he came to my house after the election, and he's an election denier. He weaponized those dangerous thoughts to threaten me and others, causing serious trauma. He was saying that the elections were fake, that really speaking erratically. I didn't feel threatened at the time, but I did feel like he was, erratic.
And
Can you pause it right there?
Authority...
This woman, and then hopefully we'll be able to continue. I don't know. We'll see. This woman, he's an election denier. No, Dan Abrams is liberal, says Skunky X. Oh, he is? Seems like an ineffective way to perform a hit, says Mike Gibson. Yeah, this guy's got issues. If you saw the pictures of him earlier in the clip, he's all like young and all like put together somewhat, but Mexicaned out, with the nice fade, nice haircut, closely cropped, real to the skin, and then up top it fades into like a normal short hair with glasses. He's an ex-felon. I think it'll get to that, but makes me want to spit. Don't want to hurt my fingers anymore. Thank you, the real Mr. Mad. I got a new watch. I may be coming with 2 watches on my wrist one day. But shout out to the real Mr. Mad. He's the one who gave me the spittoon. Very handy, because I don't like to spit in JLP's studio. He's handsome, says Blast Off to the Truth, referring to this Solomon Peña guy. He's an election denier. So they're going to try to blame Trump for this. Or, because Trump asserts stuff about the election, which I, of course, disavow that. But Trump, when he says something, usually I think, not always maybe, but almost always, I think that he has reason to believe shenanigans. But this guy, you'll find out he lost 73% to 20% or something like that. I don't know. But this woman politician talking about he's an election denier. Hispanic lady. And I use the term lady loosely, but we wish her well, right? I just had to interrupt because she used that buzzword election denier. Oh, these dangerous ideas, she said. You guys get the point, right? Oh, it's not the idea that's dangerous. Although, like I said, the flat earthers, I take it as a warning. She's weaponizing his actions against us. Yeah, his idea coupled with his actions. She's trying to link that, anybody who's an election denier is in danger of spreading terrorism. No, anger causes violent crime. Especially stuff like that, These dangerous ideas. Democrats are dangerous ideas. And they validate anger, falsely validate anger. JLP too, but Trump said we have to be peaceful. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. He was never for this type of thing. They never mentioned Trump at this point, but this guy's a Trump supporter, supposedly, if this story is true. And I believe it is. Like, how would they be able to fabricate all this? Maybe they could. The feds are very clever, but I don't think that it's untrue. Anyway, you'll hear more, and then look at at least this guy, this terrorist guy, is fit. The rest of them are fat. Sorry, fat people, we love you. Not sorry, but forgive me. if you need to forgive me. You don't even need to forgive me. It's true. These people are... You're going to see the police chief in this next clip. Is it the camera angle, or does he just look? Let's continue if we can. Here's more of the report.
He said at a press conference last night.
APD essentially discovered what we had all feared and what we had suspected, that these shootings were indeed politically motivated. And that has basically been confirmed by this investigation.
You know, as the mayor said, he's an election denier. He doesn't want to accept the results of the election. So he approached all of these commissioners and the senators at their home with paperwork claiming that there was fraud involved in those elections. I think they all expressed that they were puzzled and surprised. One actually led to quite an argument, I believe. So I think that plays into some of this, but it was shortly after that is when the shootings occurred.
Peña was vocal about his
denier.
anger over his election loss on social media, tweeting this photo of himself after Election Day and saying he never conceded his race, which, by the way, he lost by a huge margin. His opponent got more than 73% of the vote. That didn't stop Peña from insisting the election was rigged. The evidence against Peña in the shootings includes weapons police have recovered, cell phone records, surveillance footage, multiple witnesses, at least one of whom says he was present for one of the shootings. But Peña was pretty close to being disqualified from even running based on his criminal history. Peña apparently led a crew that smashed their way into big box retailers using stolen cars and loading it up with stolen goods. His Democratic opponent, who eventually won the election, Representative Miguel Garcia, even challenged Peña's candidacy in court. But a judge ruled he could stay on the ballot, saying a state law that bars felons from holding office unless they get a pardon from the governor was unconstitutional. State GOP leaders stood up for him at the time. Matt Garcia Sierra, communications director for the House GOP leadership, said, "As someone who was raised in the South Valley, I'm disappointed to see so-called civil rights activists attempt to use this example of this young Hispanic man who turned his life around for their political movement."
Let's pause it right there again.
Harold Medina.
Hold on. He's going to get to that guy who's looks like he has like a hormone issue or something. Overweight police chief, I guess. But conservative thuggery. I was watching this report and I'm like, the Republican Party is sure a big tent party. Now we're accepting the Hispanics criminals. This guy was a criminal. If I listened to it correctly, and I may not have, it sounded like he was among a group of people who drove into like those stores. You know, they drive through the wall or the glass wall exterior of the store, crash through the wall, and then steal stuff, put it in the car, and then drive out. I think that's what maybe I misunderstood it, but irregardless, which is not a word, he was stealing, according to the report. He was a felon. That's a crazy felon. And the stupid, sorry kids, I may be throwing around that word too much. I feel like I am. Sorry, adults. Not sorry, but I regret having to use this stupid word so much. They're talking like Democrats. Oh, and I would be for some felons to hold office, but this guy's not ready, apparently. If this is true that he really did shoot, I'm laughing. I only laugh because he didn't hurt anybody. He only scared that lady's daughter who was sleeping, I assume, if that was true too. Who knows? But he shot into homes. That's crazy. They're like, oh, we're taking up civil rights, giving false credence to civil rights. There's nothing. She's reading a script, says Asmodor with a super chat. The lady talking about, and I use the term loosely, talking about, oh, he's election denier. The cop even, it looked like a cop. One of those white, not straight, not morally straight. There's more than one way to not be morally straight. It's not just, doesn't mean you're gay. It's not the only way that it means you're not morally straight. Just doesn't seem masculine. This guy, though. Male cop. He has a masculine face, but his words are not masculine. Talking about he's an election denier. And that motivated him. I get that it may have motivated him, yeah, because you can't take a loss. And, you know, people get all caught up in their beliefs. They become all prideful, puff up in pride about it. The Republicans puff up in our pride about we're right. And we are right about a lot of stuff. But there's no reason to puff up in pride and anger and violence and stuff about that. I, of course, disavow such violence. Crazy. I forget where I was. Oh, yeah, the Republicans are becoming Democrats. Oh, we take up for felons running for office. Some felons, they should, but this guy shouldn't. And this guy wearing his MAGA stuff. How embarrassing. Trump is like, take that thing off. He's wearing a Make America Great Again sweatshirt. Right on, man. I appreciate you. Act right. The right used to be very self-policing. Too self-policing, I might add. The Tea Party used to throw out anybody who carried a Confederate rebel flag or a Nazi flag or whatever. Self-policing. Maybe a bit overboard with that because freedom of speech, the Confederates had some good points, and I don't know that much about World War II history. I'm not going to talk about that, I guess. But we kick out our riffraff. And some of our riffraff we probably should have accepted or, you know, contained in better ways because we're kissing up to the fake idea of racism and stuff, right? But now we're just accepting everything just like the Democrats are. Oh, felons voting and felons in civil rights and felons running for office and Hispanic man. Oh, you're discriminating against a Hispanic man. He was running against a Hispanic Democrat, something Garcia, right? Stop kissing up to that. Tell the truth. The whites are the ones who hate it. Anyway, here's the rest of the clip. Look at the body type of this person. You look shaped like a pear. Poor guy. Maybe he has a health issue. Here's the rest of the clip, hopefully. Dan Abrams interviewing this police chief who's portly. Listen to this and watch.
Chief of the Albuquerque Police Department. Chief, thanks a lot for coming on the program. Appreciate it. So talk to us about the evidence. Talk to us about what led you to this guy in the first place.
You know, this is a case of a lot of cooperation between various agencies and a huge investment in technology into the Albuquerque Police Department over the past several years. We know that we had some shootings. We were concerned that they were related. But the big break in this case came unknowingly to the Albuquerque Police Department. Senator Lopez's house was shot up, and about an hour later, a sheriff's department deputy unknowingly pulled over a vehicle for a simple driving violation. The individual was found to have a warrant. The individual was placed under arrest, and during the inventory of that vehicle, 2 firearms were recovered and tagged into evidence. We believe in NIBINs. We believe in ballistic matching shell casings. And at the same time that this was occurring and the sheriff's deputy was conducting this arrest, an APD officer had gotten a shot spotter alert, had gone out and recovered some shell casings that they found in the street. The deputy didn't even know that the senator's house had been hit. We tagged the shell casings into evidence, and they went into the NIBIN system. And when the guns came in from the sheriff's department and they go to our crime lab, they were matched to the shell casings at Lopez's residence, and we were able to tie that this individual was involved. And from there, the case just started to move forward.
I'm going to summarize it, Chief, and say it was good police work.
Yeah, thank you, Dan Abrams. You may be conservative, maybe liberal. That guy, Harold Medina. I get that Albuquerque is kind of far south, kind of close to Mexico. Is it? I think it is. But it's like this guy has like this Hispanic accent. We love you, Hispanics. But and he's fat. First generation college student. Oh, great. Graduated within 4 years like a normal college student would. I took 5 years. He continued his education. Albuquerque Chief of Police Harold Medina. And he's like, what is up with the T levels? Testosterone levels? Anyway, I guess I made my point about that. I know that there's like heavy Hispanic presence over there. Anyway, Hispanic accent, Hake? Says Lady Seasal. He's really Hispanic accent, totally Hispanic accent. Do you know what I mean? With a ing. Extremely Hispanic accent. It's the plastics in the food, Hakes, says Mike Gibson, talking about how the T levels are all messed up. All the soy estrogen in the food chain, Hake. Low T, low sperm counts. It's more than that, though, because these guys are, I don't know if Harold Medina is a male Democrat. He looks like one, maybe. He sounds like one. Everything seems wrong with Albuquerque. It's no wonder they're going out of control. I wonder how old that that Solomon Peña guy is. I'm getting lightheaded. Call Bond for counseling. 1-800-411-BOND. 1-800-411-2663. I meant to mention that in Hake News when I was talking about, the VA is giving free mental health care, emergency mental health care for veterans. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Yeah, don't be angry, guys. Terrible. Let me get to, we're at several minutes till the top of the hour. Let me get to William in California on the line. William, thanks for calling. How are you doing, man?
What's happening, James?
Hey.
Right on. Good call, Art. And say hello to the horsemen. Those are some friends of mine in Denny in Bulgaria.
Nice.
But that police chief, I don't know what that is. It looks like a woman trying to be a man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a male, but
yeah.
he has like a health issue. He doesn't seem like he could stop crying physically.
Well,
maybe he could surprise you though. But
probably. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you guys have been covering this morning. I was pretty amazed at that video in South Africa, but in a way I wasn't.
Yeah,
because
the way you're talking about from the JLP show when the white young man student was picking up trash, and the black EFF communists over in South Africa, females, were pulling the trash out of the trash can and throwing it back on the ground as the white was trying to do it.
Kind of reminds you of here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sort of does.
See, I mean, and then the other thing, I like to speak on things that I have experienced, and the other kid that got attacked by the girls, that kind of happened to me when I was really 13 or so. I wasn't even fully developed.
Right.
But it was actually, I found out later, it was a guy who set it up. I almost had 4 or 5 big angry black girls try to jump on me.
Wow.
You know, we didn't have backpacks back then in the early 70s. Used to either carry every book for each class or double back to the locker. And I got caught one time by a bunch of girls. They were pretty bad. And I didn't want to be bothered with these girls because a lot of the girls were the most fights that I witnessed in school were always girls.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to mess around with these girls, but I was kind of afraid of them. But they got me and surrounded me by let's get him by the locker. All I can tell you is that it looked like a movie in reverse. they didn't see anything but those jabs coming back. Now, it went 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. So that means I lost count. And it's like let's just think about this. It's self-defense. I don't advocate hitting women.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
But you attack somebody and they defend themselves, I'm sorry, you're going to get a number 2 to go without coleslaw.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, James. I'm just saying, because that kid did backpedal. He did backpedal, did not want to be bothered.
Right.
But I noticed
Too
all
much.
the beta kids come running up talking about hit a girl again. But
Right.
they didn't say anything when these girls were surrounding him.
Yeah.
So,
It was there. Now, William from California is talking about a video that JLP invited me to comment on the Jesse Lee Peterson show in the third hour today about this young man who was getting harangued or harassed or confronted and followed by this woman, young lady, maybe they're high schoolers.
oh, no.
Who, and I use the term loosely, she kept on going at him and saying, "Oh, put your hands on me again."
Yeah.
She's asking him to. And she's going up to him, and he's like backing away from her and then going away, turning direction, backing away, and he starts to warn her. And the person recording the cell phone video, it looks like,
he says,
is like,
one more.
she's going to
one
get
more.
it. She's going to get it. And she got it. She ate that. She took that hit pretty well and didn't go down, which I was a little surprised, but the guy didn't look that strong. And
no, he didn't. Look at. I mean, that same thing with me. I was pretty underdeveloped.
Right.
At about 13, you got to figure young teenage boys at 13, usually regular basis, are not really fully developed yet. And his
technique wasn't right.
Well, I know I wasn't that big when I was 13. I can remember that between 14, 15, 17, I shot up to 6'4", 3/4. That's a little bit different than I was when I was 13 because you're not developed yet at that age.
Right.
But even not being developed, the only thing I can tell you is 2 or 3 of them were on the hallway floor. I didn't sit there and wait for anybody to come save me because they were not coming.
Right. Well,
there was nobody coming.
Lucky for you, nobody was coming to attack you in response to that thing. Oh, what is that?
No, the whole thing just happened so quick. I didn't get in trouble. They didn't get in trouble. But when I got to high school, I was pretty tall, and these same girls, by now, they're best friends. They're nice now. All of a sudden, they didn't actually mess with me like that. Nor did I even want any part of that. I didn't want to be fighting anybody. But we laugh about it today. But now that I think about it, those girls that we're talking about several years later, none of them are married.
Yeah, it's understandable. They were set up. Think about that. People were set up as children to be.
It was boys. It was some boys. Miserable. It was some evil little boys that actually set this up. They thought I said something, did something. I don't know what they thought. It just was the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm in a fight with like 5 or 6 fat black girls that are like,
That's up in NorCal? Is that in Oakland area?
Yeah, up in San Francisco, man. They're foaming at the mouth, and I don't even know what the hell is wrong with them, And
sorry, kids.
The next thing you know, man, I'm swinging to get out of the way.
Interesting, man.
Well, yeah,
it's only gotten worse.
It could have been worse, but I mean, I don't. No,
I'm saying it's girls. I'm saying it's only gotten worse.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just wouldn't advise anybody to hit a girl because they're not of equal. Biologically speaking, they're not our equal. I mean, it makes me want to.
There's a reason they're not supposed to be.
I want to spit in your can. The NFL has girls on the NFL football field refereeing the games.
I know.
And
so ridiculous.
That's just ridiculous because I don't know if you follow the NFL, and
don't.
if you really notice, the referee can get, messed up and put in the hospital at any second, and it
Good
has
point.
happened.
Yeah.
You know, why would you put them on the field?
Equality. They want it. They want it.
Well, you want equality.
You
Let's
don't.
see. You want equality. Well, what happens with your equality when somebody 340 pounds runs you over with a helmet on and pads?
Yeah,
Where's your equality then?
Equality is a fake, imaginary, Satan imagination idea that the commies and some of the conservatives, many of them, most of them, fell for. What a shame.
They're not equal.
Yeah.
We need to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not equal.
Equality is what Satan tempted Eve with. You'll be equal with God once you get this knowledge of good and evil. Now they have all this knowledge and judgment, and it's bad knowledge and bad judgment. Terrible.
It looks really bad when you see these lesbians try to put on men's clothes and ties.
Sometimes it looks
Ben Daverson jeans and stuff like that. They look ridiculous.
Yeah, usually so, unless they're not fat lesbians, and then it looks mildly attractive. But yeah, I get your point.
Got some
and it's not
attractive.
right. It's not right. It's just that's just perversion thinking that it's mildly attractive. Honestly, I disavow what I just said. I take it back.
I noticed that you said Hillary was mildly attractive. When was this?
In her younger days, I think she was. I didn't mean Chelsea Clinton. No offense, Chelsea. We love you if we love anybody. But
yuck. Where's that bucket? I want to spit in it.
Two.
Yeah,
I spit in it for you.
And you're pretty hard on us Catholics too, James.
Oh yeah, you're Catholic, huh? I like some Catholics. I like all Catholics, but you're not in the normal Christians. What are people doing Catholic in America?
Yeah. I don't know. That was kind of done
Bill
to me.
O'Reilly? I like Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. You hear what I said? That was kind of like done to me when I was a baby, so I just kind of let it go.
Yeah, you couldn't help it. Yeah.
No, I could not.
I get that. I get you guys were raised that way. I was raised a nice Christian, and it's hard to shake.
You know, the whole thing with the Baptist, all of that stuff, you know, a lot of people, the Catholics, they'll tell you, I'm Catholic, but they're not really practicing.
Yeah.
Because it's like a thing that, from birth, from baby, you're baptized, and, some stuff you can't help and everything. I keep telling you, James, you need to get a bar stool chair.
Uh-huh.
That will ease the tension on your back.
Yeah, I sat up straight with spinal alignment, like
I've seen you.
Like Ling Yan Chin said, and I'm feeling fine. It's been over a half an hour. I'm feeling okay. So
yeah,
I just gotta toughen up.
You gotta remember, you got a back injury. I bet it's your lower back, isn't it?
Yeah, I fell on it when I was playing soccer, and it was after not doing anything for like a year or two, and I did it to myself. Anyway,
you ever
man.
see how a rubber band is tight when you just wound it around your finger?
Uh-huh.
That's what your muscle is doing.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
thank you, William.
Look into a bar stool chair, man. Yeah, no problem.
Good. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
All right. Appreciate you, too. Take care.
All right. I will get to more of your calls, guys. I have a MLK Day shooting story, and it's not that funny now because somebody died. You can still laugh, but it's also evil, okay? It's evil as well as funny, as well as predictable, and not funny either. But now it's time for some music. Let's listen to some good old Christian music, and when I say old, I mean 80s. This is not Michael W. Smith, David Meece, from 1985-ish, I guess. You Can Go. What a great song. Enjoy, you musical Philistines, and I'll be right back for hour two. Hang tight for the rest of hour two. So good. Am I right? I know I'm right. Canadian David said, I want to use this sample in a song. I like this track, says Clovera over on Twitch. Did you know Hake streams on Twitch, the Hake Report? Nice. Where's my Facebook crew? Am I streaming on Facebook? What's going on? I haven't had a lot of action on the Facebook side of things for a few days. A little bit. Let's see. Facebook.com/the Hake Report/videos. And just make sure I'm live over there. I'm jamming, says Karen Williams. Nice. Shout out. Yeah, I'm live over there. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there's even comments. What's up, Donald? Nice to see you, man. My faithful few, the Facebook crew, maybe they're all banned. You have a 10 to 15 second delay to YouTube compared to Facebook. Oh, interesting. That's quite significant. So shout out to David Meece. You know, it's interesting. Before I get back to calls and stories, you know how it talks about you have the power of God, let it flow and stuff like that? And then you see these males everywhere. I'm pointing the finger, but everywhere. And the Bible says God has not given us a spirit of fear or of timidity, but of power and of a love and of a sound mind. A sound mind. Sanity comes from God. JLP has a biblical question called, what is sanity? I don't want to get too much into it because I'd rather keep that to his show. But people don't have a sound mind. They're not masculine. There's no power. There's no love. There's just timidity and overly Hispanic, girly-sounding man voice accents on these police chiefs with their pear-shaped bodies. Not even an attractive pear. More like that. There's like a monster from that purple monster from McDonald's who's like, his head is this wide, and then it just gets wider and wider and wider the lower you go. I'm shaking my head. Pear-shaped boomer betas. This guy might have even been Gen X. He sounds like Gen X. Grimace. Yeah, Grimace is his name. Can you Google Grimace's Grimace McDonald's monster guy? How do you guys know that? It's funny. And why wasn't he a Sesame Street character? That's the sheriff, Teletubby sheriff. Yeah, they're just fat. Terrible. But the skinny people are weak too. Not saying anything. Did you find any Grimace pictures? He's finding it, guys. Let me read some super chats in the meantime. Big Bum's telling me Grimace. Super chat from Lin Yen Chen. You and Jesse, y'all gotta be nice to my beautiful something underscore. Blank. Natasha Basil. Basil. Future wife to be. She is right that God, also known as love, is unconditional, as conditions only contain us, and not God, who is his only container limit. She gon' read me. And I can't finish this super chat, Lin Yen Chin, but he gives a heart at the end. That's nice, Lin Yen Chin. He has a little crush on a JLP caller who has a nice squirrely voice. Natasha. Is she a Hake listener too? Here's Grimace. Look at Grimace. This is what I feel about your super chat, Lin Yen Chin, but thank you, man. Here's Grimace, I think. If it's ready. I don't know. He looks manlier than the... He looks so harmless and nice and happy. But it's like fitting. It fits. It suits him. With his little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. Did T-Rexes really have short arms like that? Useless arms? It doesn't even make sense. They can't even break their own fall. This guy's arms are thicker than a T-Rex's arms. He has eyebrows. So that guy, I don't even know if he has a voice. But he does have a mouth. He looks manlier. Okay, that one is a full-blown pair. Hassan found a bunch of them. The first picture that you showed, though, he looked manlier than the Albuquerque police chief. Sorry, Albuquerque police chief. But this guy looks more masculine than you. But, you know, I get it. Health issues is not necessarily all your fault. Maybe there's something you can do, though, to look like you can do police work still. Police work is manly work. It doesn't look like he can do that manly work. He looks fat, too fat. But fat people can do amazingly athletic things, even more athletic than Hake with his beta back. So, but yeah, terrible. I think that's it for the super chats. Thank you, guys. Did you know you can super chat on rumble.com/thehake report on my live stream? Let me get to Denny in Bulgaria. He got shouted out by one of my prior callers. Denny in Bulgaria, how you doing, man?
Hello, Mr. Hake. I hope you're doing well, sir.
I am. I appreciate it. Thank you. And even my back is doing better. So thank you.
Glad to hear. I'm glad to see that and to hear that you are healthy. And kind regards to the gentleman before me, William, I believe.
Yeah, nice. Right on.
Mr. Hake, I have a few things to highlight about your program and from what I saw from Mr. Peterson's program. First of all, there was this video clip of a man who was defending himself from a woman.
Yeah,
and
that William and I were talking about. I didn't play that on my show. It was on JLP's show. You guys can check it out in the third hour. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually watching it. So it kind of brought memories to me. That was in the mid or late 90s. I don't remember anymore because it was a while ago. And Bulgaria was part of the Communistic Alliance, and most of the people were fine with that. There were some of the people that weren't fine with that. One of them was my father. And when I started school, I was a young man. I was a very, very young man. I was 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. We had a teacher that was a hardcore communist teacher.
Yeah.
She believed firmly in the communists, and she was actually our geography teacher, but she was teaching us about communism instead of geography.
Of course, and it's a she.
Yes, I was a child. I didn't know any better. When I got, first of all, I was lucky enough to be raised by both parents.
Yeah.
And when I get back home, and my parents saw every day. They every day asked me, "So what happened in school?" So I was telling them, and I told them about that teacher. My father put on a jacket and went to school, to my school. He found her, and he grabbed her by the neck.
Wow.
And said, mention the word communist one more time. You're not here to talk about politics. You're here to talk about geography. Mention communism one more time, in good or in a bad way. Do it one more time. And then he left. But first of all, she never did that again.
Nice.
And I didn't knew this years later. The principal of the school called him. He called my father. And started, you cannot act like this with a lady. She was a woman. She was weaker than you. And my father said, that's why I grabbed her with my left arm. If I grabbed her with my arm, things would have been different. I used the left one on purpose. Now, of course, this is something I can never do because my left arm is way stronger than my right one.
Nice.
But that's the way I was raised.
Wow.
Yes.
No wonder you're so sensible.
I guess so. I was watching a clip on Mr. Peterson's program about people throwing trash on the street and another gentleman picking it up and throwing it back in it again.
Yep.
This is there is an old clip from the early 40s, especially here in Bulgaria, but you can see it in Romania, Hungary, and Poland as well. And this is why it pains me a little bit to see it again. The communists, when the USSR, when they invaded Eastern Europe, and this is the correct term, they invaded it. They threw the army here.
Wow.
That's why they occupied it. This is exactly what happened. And you can see a lot of clips and a lot of pictures, even today. And, you know, this was in the late 30s and early 40s of the previous century. And you know how gentlemen were dressed back then, right? They had a thick mustache, a suit, a hat on their head. And people were throwing trash, and the gentlemen were trying to put it back in the trash can. But they couldn't because there were a lot of people throwing trash. And this was almost 100 years ago, and now I'm seeing it again. And Mr. Peterson is right about that, sir.
Yeah.
Nothing new under the sun. It's ridiculous.
It is.
And it's simply art. It's not sad because I understand why they're doing it, but it's art, and it's simply ridiculous.
It reminds me of on the left coast, the communists all up and down this west coast of the United States are bringing in homelessness blight, these bums and trashy people who trash the place. When right after the white flight moved out west, we pioneers, well, not we, but the pioneers moved out west and created beautiful communities, and the communists came in and trashed the place with the homelessness. We didn't need to be putting up with this stuff, but they're purposely putting up with crime and homeless drug thugs. Not all of the homeless people are thugs. Some of them clean up after themselves, but they're all bums, so of some form or other.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Some of them are, I assume, are fine people, but it's just like the communism that you described and that we saw in the JLP clip about throwing the trash back on the ground after the white man threw it away for them. Just that's communism.
Really
that's black-hearted. It's disgusting. Go ahead.
If you really think about it, I am totally okay with protests, even anarchy in a matter, but not like that. Anarchy, in my view, is disagreeing with a current, at the very moment, status quo. If you really know who the status quo actually represents, because the news says this. This is my view of anarchy. But throwing trash like that is simply embarrassing for the man who's doing it. The man who was putting back the trash, really, it took me like 100 years ago. This was a stoic man, because yes, he could have said, well, I'm not going to, not my problem, and he could have left, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He proved a point, and it was nice to see that.
Right on, man. Yeah, South Africa, there is hope because there are a few sensible whites, and there's a bunch of liberal whites who've been subverted, even in the churches over there, I hear. Just like over here, the churches believe in this anti-white, anti-Christian, really, fake race, anti-racism stuff, kissing up to women. But there's a few over there in South Africa, and a few sensible blacks, maybe, I think, who want what's right. Crazy.
You might be right, and Mr. Hake, if I may, can I please ask two very quick questions?
Sure.
My first question is, can I ask you and Jesse Lee Peterson a question at your own networks, of course, at your own programs, the same question, or are there any rules against that?
No, if you have a question for me that you also want to ask Jesse Lee, You can ask.
Yes.
You can call in to either show or both shows with the same question. You can call. You can call into Jesse's show once per day, and you can call into Hake's show once per day. And there's no real restrictions as long as it's like a real question, which you only ask real questions. So, yeah, you're fine.
Yes, it was a regular question. I just didn't knew if there were any, rules or restrictions, so I had to ask.
Yeah, right on, man.
My question, Mr. Hake, is what is the purpose of being? And this is the first time I heard about this term, and I've never heard it before, and I've never seen it before. A Bible thumper. From what I understand from Mr. Peterson's show, is Bible thumper is a person who basically knows the Bible by heart, and if you ask them something, they will give you verses and stuff like that. What do you think is the purpose of that? Because I personally cannot see it. I understand it. Okay, so those people know a book by heart, which is okay. A 12-year-old can do that too. And when somebody asks them, they are quoting verses, which is not an answer. For example, Mr. Hake, if I ask you a specific question about a specific something, and you have read a specific book, you can give me a specific answer from this book, but that's not your answer. That's something that's been written by someone else, and you've read it. So I personally, and perhaps the problem is within me. Maybe I do not understand that, which is fine, and this is why I'm asking. What is the purpose of being a Bible thumper? I don't even understand it from an ego perspective, because learning a book by heart is not something that should pump up somebody's ego. A 12-year-old can do that.
Yeah.
So why do you think Bible thumpers? Because I'm not judging. I did not go to judge or to insult anyone or to act ridiculous.
Okay.
That's not why I did that. I'm just simply asking.
Well,
why do you think somebody would be a Bible thumper?
Well, for one, even though it shouldn't, knowledge does puff up. So people puff up on their knowledge, like with their pride and their ego. They think they know something. It's human nature, a fallen state human nature, right? We know that. I think that even though you're completely sensible in saying a 12-year-old could do that, that does happen. But the other thing is like the training, the brainwashing, if you will. People have been trained.
What training?
The Christians have been trained to, when asked a spiritual question, they'll cite the Bible thinking that that's the answer, because just the Bible words themselves are like magic. It's the Spirit is in the words, they think. And if they spout the words, even without fully understanding the words, they will be enlightening people and awakening people's spirit, when in reality, it's the opposite. They're, like JLP quoted last week in a great monologue with Nick, the producer, the letter killeth, but the Spirit gives life. But they think that the letter is the Spirit. They think that...
I watched that.
What's that?
I watched that, yes.
Yeah. So it's
this is why I'm asking, because that's actually what brought this question.
It's impulse. It's a habit. It's an unthinking, unseeing sort of reaction to this is what you're supposed to do. And Bill West says Bible thumping is a superiority thing. It kind of is, but it's also they don't know any better. They're trained to think that that's an answer. Like you said, that's not your answer. That's what you're just reading, or you're just reciting a Bible verse around the topic, but not giving an answer. But they think that they're giving an answer. Like when they say, I and the Father are one, is one thing that Jesus said. And they assume, they jump to the conclusion that means that Jesus was saying he was God. And that's not what that means. A husband and wife come together and they're one flesh. Or we in the church are one in Christ. Does that mean we are Christ? No. It doesn't mean that the husband is the wife, or they are the same person, or they are It doesn't make the church. The church is one in Christ, and then Christ is one with God. Does that mean the church is God? No. So they're jumping to illogical conclusions, thinking that they're being biblical, thinking that they believe in the Bible, but they don't. They don't believe. They believe in Satan. In their imagination, you know?
Many thanks for that clarification. I really didn't saw it from this perspective. I have this bad habit of mine to always see things from my perspective, and from my perspective, it never made sense. It makes sense to be, like, for example, a fake accountant. You know, you read a few accounting articles and you recycle them. And that can bring you ego, that can actually fool people, which is fine. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying it's fine, which is something that happens, and it can provide you.
Yeah, you can make money being a fake accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but short while, but yes. But I never thought about in the Bible thing. I never actually, because this is something way too laid out. From my perspective.
I think they
Yes,
feel like they
thank you.
won't be a real Christian. They'll be committing blasphemy if they don't follow the training of the Christianese type stuff. And so that's
it's the ego again.
And so that's the ego. So they may not be making money off of it. Some of them are. Some of the pastors and book writers,
No, I
authors are.
apologize. This was my mistake. I gave the accountant and the money thing because it's something what I'm doing. So I'm always doing it from my perspective. I didn't want to sound it like they're laundering money or anything.
No.
It's.
But you're
my
wondering what
mistake.
benefit it brings them. It brings them the benefit
Yes,
of.
I'm wondering what benefit it brings them because it makes no sense.
They think that
I mean,
they're.
to me, it makes no sense to me.
They think that it's containing them and helping them along in their Christian walk, if you will.
That's even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, Mr. Haig, I would like to thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate
I
it.
would like to, huge regards to your colleagues. God be with you, sir. And I really wish you wisdom and all the best, sir.
Thank you. Same to you, Denny. Take care. Denny in Bulgaria. Always, to me, with some depth to him. Denny's English is better than all American Mexicans, says Bello Bella. I disavow. We love the Mexican people. But Denny's English is better than them. Okay, I got to cover this. MLK Day, there was a shooting, a mass shooting, and it was not whites. New York Post reports 8 injured, 1 critically. Now she's dead. I think it's a she. In a mass shooting. Blacks commit mass shooting. Newsflash, they commit most of them. Or disproportionately, anyway. They disproportionately commit them. Way overrepresented compared to their population. At an MLK Day event at a park in Florida. And here's this clip 17. I think I have it in there. And it's just the raw footage. You'll see blacks in confusion. Deputies are investigating the shooting. Fort Pierce Park during an MLK Day event. It's from WPBF 25 News, 43-second clip. Look at this confusion. You may hear some, what sounds like gunshots, not sure. Here it is. I can't tell what's going on. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. These are the decent blacks getting away. Relatively decent. Maybe. Some, I assume. All this confusion. Terrible, huh? Well, I don't know if you could really tell what was going on. But one died. And that's a mass shooting. Is it really 70% of mass shootings, according to Kevin Howe? And these people just trying to get away. These blacks. All of them black. Dang, Florida. Who knew? I guess some of you guys knew. Of course. And the updated was the woman died. I think it was a woman. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, just like Martin Luther King Boulevard, dangerous. Watch out for, there's going to be a bad apple. Chances are there's going to be a bad apple. A tiny percentage, but that tiny percentage is enough to spoil the whole party. Martin Luther King Jr., that was what he dreamed of. Meanwhile, in Boise, let me play this clip. There's an attack on Boise, Idaho. Boise is, I've been there once. JLP had a speaking engagement. I was his bodyguard. And a bunch of college kids falling out on the street drunk. But that's the worst that you ever saw. You didn't see a bunch of homelessness and clean, relatively clean, mostly white. And now the anti-whiteness is attacking Boise. Isn't that where they were pushing the transgender mess and the different things? Drag queen story hour type stuff, maybe? I'm not sure. Just pushing degeneracy onto all of the white and Christian areas. This is from TikTok. Somebody tagged me on it and JLP on it. Oh, it's Tori_D. Don't harass her, guys. Except for Brandon M. Because Brandon M does it right. But don't harass her. This lady, I presume her name is Tori. I gather her name is Tori. Tori. Talks crap. Sorry, kids. There's no other way to say it. About pro-white people. And I say pro-white people because she's going to show this sign of these guys saying, it's great to be white. And then they give a website. And she takes that to mean that they're anti-black. Being pro-white doesn't mean you're anti-black. Newsflash, Tori. And she says, it's too early for this. And she does a green screen thing. 1 minute long clip. And TikTok videos are so obnoxious. It's like too fast, too much information, all fast. And also she's a know-it-all. But she's like this upstanding, well-to-do, working woman named Tori who believes in this racism thing. And she hates white people who don't hate whites, who think it's great to be white. Look at this and tell me what sense it makes. Here's her TikTok video, clip 13.
I'm a black woman living in Boise, Idaho. I moved here a little over a year ago for a job. I'm not here to change the politics. I'm simply here to do my job and exist as a human being. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and I said, when I go places, I'm very wary of going places that I've never been to by myself because I don't know if I walk through those doors, the person behind those doors is going to automatically hate me and treat me differently because I look different than them. And they said, you don't have to worry about that in Boise proper. You don't have to worry about in the Boise. That happens up north. That happens in central Idaho. That happens everywhere else but Boise. And I said, no, it doesn't. It happens everywhere. And here's your proof. This is by the mall today. White. Just another friendly reminder that I'm in the Pacific Northwest capital of people who don't like people who look like me. Before the people who support this jump into my comments, I don't give a fuck what you believe. The reality is,
sorry, kids.
That is not only a calling card for the people driving by to go check out that website that they posted on the bottom of that sign. It's also an intimidation tactic for everybody that they're against.
You don't know what you're talking about, lady. And I use the term loosely. Sorry, guys. I forgot she cussed. I forgot to bleep it. Not very ladylike. She's not that black. She says she's black. Look at her hair. Her hair's all nice. Well, it's not. I think it's nice. I think it's attractive. She's a mildly attractive young lady. Bit heavy on the makeup. I don't know how she looks without any makeup. Her hair is sort of has tinges of red. It's dyed into it. People who hate people who look like me, she said. You don't know anything about those guys. But if they do hate you, there's a reason. There's never a reason to hate, right? But you're inviting hatred on yourself by being nasty. You're a nasty woman, Tori, lady. I just came to exist as a human being. I'm not here to change politics, blah, 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 blah. Talking all rapid fire to be able to get her point inside of the TikTok. And don't worry your pretty little head about race and politics, Tori, lady. We love you here on the Hake Report, don't we? She's kind of light-skinned, too, but she's insisting that she's black. Cambodian vibes, says Wrinkle Hands Bing Bong. Look at her. It's great to be white, and they include this website. And so these guys have seen the attack on whites. They look relatively young. These two young men holding a banner that reads, "It's great to be white," and they're on this side of the road. And they're advertising a t.me address, which is Telegram. And I don't know what the Telegram is. If they hate you, you hated them first. Can I say that? If these whites hate black people, the blacks hated them first. The blacks are hateful people, lady. But they didn't mention anything about blacks. It's an intimidation tactic. You're reading into it, lady. Yes, I'm sure the people in Boise, and what if it were? What if it were? What, the blacks being all into their blackness, that's not intimidating? They flee away to, there are whites who fled to Idaho and Boise, maybe Boise, I'm not sure Boise. And they're not allowed to have their spaces because they want forced integration, forced diversity on them, on their countries, on their communities, on their Christianity. It's ridiculous. I just want to exist as a human being. What's to say those guys don't just want to exist as human beings? Whites are humans too, lady. What sense does it make? I don't know. I haven't read the Telegram. Maybe she looked up their Telegram. She's all, oh yeah, it is great to be white. Because she's probably part white. Who knows? Maybe not. Let me look up their Telegram. Oh, they said something bad about blacks. They hate me just because I look different from them. Stupid. She's projecting. And nobody hates anybody just because they look different from them. Telegram isn't too compromised yet. He says. Somebody says. She's definitely not white, Hake. She is part white, says Fred Johnson. Attack on Boise. Which would you rather have? Some whites holding a sign saying it's great to be white, or some blacks shooting up a black event on MLK Day in Florida? I'll take my words riffraff over your violence riffraff. How about that? Mean words of the whites. So mean, it's great to be white. Oh, so mean. So anti-black. No, it's not. Anyway, you guys get my point. Let me get to Kyle, a first-time caller in Oklahoma. Been on the line for quite some time. Kyle, thanks for holding. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a big fan of your show, and I just wanted to ask you a quick question or your feedback on my comment. And that is the topic of strength versus weakness in of itself. And that is that my point is that there's an old Latin phrase that says that gods favor the weak, and in the book of Isaiah it says that God gives strength to the powerless and power to the weak or something, but something like that. But it said also that just being the strongest does not always equate to the most victorious. And we'll see how that plays out in the Ukraine. If they weren't weaker, they wouldn't be always getting that aid. If they were already on par with the strength of Russia, then they wouldn't be getting any help.
Maybe.
So I just wonder, what's your thoughts on?
I don't know though, man. Well, you might be right. Anyway, go on.
Am I overanalyzing the fact that strength is not always the solution, and the most strong do not always equate to being the victor?
No, it's not always. Yeah, it depends on what you mean by strength.
Okay, because I just hear a lot of people defending what's the strongest, and we lose sight, like even Christ said to Paul, you're strongest when you're at your weakest. So I just don't see strength or weakness as being morally, strength versus weakness being a moral talking point, because it's not one of the 6 virtues. Strength is not. And
what are you responding to? Who said something that's about strength?
Earlier today, Jesse said that it'll make someone look strong if they attack a woman or something. But I just thought, strength is not a virtue in and of itself. So how is that a moral talking point?
There is a strength that is a virtue.
A strength that is a virtue?
Yep.
What's that?
You have to have moral strength.
Moral strength. Yeah. Also, I see
you have to have confidence, and it's not good to be weak physically,
right? I
emotionally.
That's why I thought maybe I was
spiritually.
Strength versus weakness.
Yeah. So there invites bullying and attacks and genocide. The whites have been weak with the blacks and with the fellow whites and the Hispanics and everybody, and their country's being taken over. Nobody's taking up for them just because they're weaker.
Right. I don't see the solution to our problems, and I don't consider advice to tell someone to be stronger, that we need to be more strong as a solution. That's not our solution. It's strength itself. But we have to find some other way to overcome and be victorious. You know what I mean?
No.
Because strength alone is not going to solve our problems.
Nobody said it would. But lack of strength makes the problem worse.
Okay. Well, I just wanted your feedback, because I hear a lot of people. You think
the guy's weakness didn't invite the attack from the woman? Let's show that video, if you can, from the JLP show. Somebody requested it. And that's what you're referring to, right? JLP's comments. A lot of people calling about what was covered in JLP. But I was there. If you can pull that, maybe after the call, I'll bring that up.
Okay. I understand where you're coming from. I agree with you. It's better to be strong than weak. It's just a little bit counterintuitive how maybe we view weakness and strength, because
I think you're hung up on the word strength rather than the meaning.
I understand.
Because there's a lot of meanings.
It's a tricky word. It could be used any way, really. But
let me show this clip.
If you had, okay.
Let me show this clip real fast, Kyle.
Okay.
Here's that boy defending himself against the girl who is attacking him. I'm calling it boy and girl. Maybe they're young man, young woman.
Okay.
Here it is. School setting. Out in the hall. Blonde girl. This is from the Jesse Lee Peterson show. I don't know the context. And the guy's being weak with her. Backing up.
One more she's done.
Trying to give space.
Oh,
he's going after him.
If she touches
Cussing at him. Don't know why.
Do it!
She's telling him to hit him. Hit her. So he hit her. And another girl, maybe. Hit him. I don't think Nick bleeped it up either. Dumb jocks go up to him. Dumb football players. Stupid. So, yeah, that weakness was not weakness was wrong in that case, Kyle. He should have been stronger way earlier.
I understand.
Make
Yeah,
sense?
thanks for your feedback. I just, I do have friends that are always concerned that maybe they'll appear as weak, or I just wish people would maybe be more in tune with the fact that strength is not always the answer, and it's not always the best advice. But
It depends on what you're talking about.
It's better to be strong.
People
So
think
it's just
anger is a strength, or lashing out is a sign of strength, and that's not. But yeah, she ate that punch, says Tehran Isaac. Yeah, she did.
And in my opinion, it's
maybe she's
never
a
okay
lesbian.
to strike a woman. I mean, at best, you could maybe subdue her by, like holding her back or something, but never to strike a woman.
No,
you know
that's
what I mean?
that's wrong. You should never you should not have any such rule. Never hit a woman. That doesn't make any sense. That's poor training. You've been brainwashed.
Well, I know it won't turn out well for me if I ever strike a woman. It won't.
I know
turn out well, I
that
can
because
tell you that.
because you've bought into that culture, and the whole culture. You bought into the
I
same
haven't
culture
bought
of
into anything.
Yeah,
I
you
can
have.
just tell you.
You bought into the
consequences that
you bought into the idea
I'm
you
like
should never hit a
250
woman.
Pounds.
You bought into
I'm
the
250 pounds. If I hit a woman, I'd probably knock her out.
and if she's
I wouldn't
hitting
do
you,
that. I'd rather get knocked. I'd rather get knocked out from a woman and wake up and say, "Okay, what do I do now?" Rather than be the guy who said, "I was defending myself. I knocked her out." That could be a tricky situation.
for sure, because the culture is anti-man, anti-men defending themselves, and you've added to that culture by saying a man should never hit a woman. Nobody should be hitting anybody, but that's ridiculous to say you'd rather be knocked out by a woman. That you've been brainwashed, man. That's not. Do you think that's strength or weakness on your part?
Life's not always how hard you can punch, but how hard you can take a hit.
You don't need to take any hits from any woman.
Well, in my situation, I would run away. I would just.
That guy
evade the
tried to run away.
situation.
Well, he didn't run that fast. He could have run faster. I bet he could have outrun her. But that was not necessarily the answer, man. Like you have a poor. That's a bad brainwashing. You sound like a simp talking like that. A man should never hit a woman. I get that you're way stronger, and I get that the culture is going to lynch you for it.
Yeah,
But-
so why is that not reason enough?
Well, it depends on the situation. You said never.
Yeah, never strike a woman.
That's
I don't
not
see why
a.
that.
You should never have
I
a.
was brainwashed into thinking that.
You should never have a-
I thought Jesus taught us to turn the other cheek. And
Turn
he
the
was
other cheek
crucified
is
on a cross.
that's
He was
public
crucified
humiliation,
on a
man.
cross, but he was crucified on a cross, and he didn't fight back physically.
Because he wasn't supposed to in that moment.
Yeah, we're not supposed to fight back physically either against women or anything that attacks us.
You made that up. Never did he say you're not supposed to fight back when attacked.
He said turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek is when you get slapped, because back in those days, if you got slapped, that was a sign of great disrespect. It wasn't a physical attack. He said to carry a sword sometimes. Sometimes he said to put the sword away.
I think retaliation is petty, and
It's not petty. It's defending yourself. Retaliation may be petty, but defending yourself is not retaliation necessarily, man. You said you should never strike a woman.
There's other ways to defend yourself than striking a woman. There's other ways to defend yourself.
There may be other ways sometimes, but there's also a time to hit.
No, not
in
really.
Self-defense.
You just said there may be other ways to defend yourself, and then you say there's a time to hit.
There is a time to hit. There may be other ways sometimes, and sometimes you can't.
I understand if a man's attacking me, right? That's a different situation.
Who taught you that you should always turn the other cheek and never defend yourself?
From a woman?
Period.
No one told me never to fight a guy if he tries to attack me. Nobody ever told me that, and I don't believe that.
So
if
then
a
why
man tries to attack
why
me.
do you have that double standard for a woman?
Because she's weaker.
That's her fault. That's her fault if she attacks you.
There's strength and weakness. That
There's a reason
there's
she's
the
weaker.
choices that we make.
There's a reason she's weaker. Because she's not supposed to be attacking anybody. Men are made to fight against evil.
I don't want to take up all your time. I'm probably over analyzing strength versus weakness. But
Yeah, man,
I'll
you have
think about what
you got
said,
some wrong
and
ideas. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
30. I'm 30.
And you were raised in Oklahoma too, huh?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Where were you raised?
I've lived all over the South, and I'm Canadian. Too.
Yeah, you're a Southern man, 250 pounds, and spiritually weak, kind of. Like you're brainwashed with this never hit a woman stuff. If you have this rule, never hit a woman, that's not a... God never said that. God never said never hit a woman. So who said that?
No, you're right. Okay, besides that, but it goes back to the whole point of name-calling weak, as that's supposed to be the moral argument, is because, so maybe I am weak. Does that make me morally inferior to be weak?
Yes, you should not be weak.
No. See, I don't think so.
When you say never hit a woman, that's not only extra biblical. God never said never hit a woman. That's the world's line. Never hit a woman. You've bought into the world thinking, and you couch it in Christianity. It's not Christian.
All right, well, I appreciate your time, and I won't take up too much of your time today.
No problem, man. Interesting call.
I'll think about what you said.
All right, man. Kyle in Oklahoma, call me again sometime. Take care.
All right, thanks, Hank.
All right, thank you. Man, we're at 5 minutes till. Big bump from California. Wanted to talk about clarifying a statement that he made. Brett in Boulder, Colorado, wanted to talk about a hockey player who refused to wear a LGBT jersey. Javier or Xavier, a first-time caller in Boise, Idaho. He's black, and he's never experienced racism, and he's in Boise. I wonder what he thinks about the it's great to be white, guys. And other callers, I cannot get to you. This has been the Hake Report. Let's listen to David Meece, Tumblin' Down. From 1985. I forget what the album is. Thanks, guys. Adios, America. Bye.